Hello, everyone. I'm Jack Fisher, and welcome to my world. And after seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it may very well just be one of many, each with their own unique version of Jack Fisher. Some good, some evil, but hopefully all awesome in their own right. That's the perspective I was ready to embrace after seeing Spider-Man No Way Home. I really feel like that movie primed everyone for more stories about the multiverse and alternate versions of beloved characters. Now, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is in a perfect position to capitalize on it, while also adding some bold new dimensions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, literally and figuratively. So yes, of course I went out of my way to see an MCU movie on opening night, pre-ordering my ticket and preparing my bladder accordingly. And yes, I did go in with high expectations. At this point, every entry into the MCU gets judged by a unique standard, one you just can't apply to other movies, even other superhero movies. And make no mistake, Multiverse of Madness is sure to twist that standard even more. Ever since Avengers Endgame, it feels like the MCU is always trying to break new ground somewhere, telling more and more unique stories with its iconic characters while also building on its vast foundation. Black Widow gave us a spy thriller, Shang-Chi gave us flashy martial arts mixed with family drama, and now, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is poised to give us a mind-bending trip through alternate timelines, complete with Sam Raimi-style horror mixed in. Add in a few new characters, some that are old and iconic, and some that are brand new, and it's a potentially marvelous combination. But does it deliver? Well, the short answer is hell yes, it delivered. I left the theater feeling like Marvel Studios has once again succeeded, meeting its own lofty standards when it comes to superhero movies. The long answer, though, well, that's why I'm giving my review in this video. Because there was a lot to process with this movie. And not just because it deals with different timelines, different versions of certain characters, and some ghastly body horror. But, before I go any further, I want to give a major spoiler warning. Because, like Spider-Man No Way Home, the spoilers for this movie carry more weight than most. Not just in terms of shock value, but with respect to the larger emotional impact. And yes, that impact goes beyond the journey of Stephen Strange himself. Even before the movie begins, his journey was at a crossroads. Doctor Strange was no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, due to being blipped out of existence during the events of Avengers Infinity War. That title now belongs to Wong. But Strange has already done plenty since coming back, most notably helping Spider-Man in No Way Home. But that one act opened the door to the larger multiverse. And when Multiverse of Madness starts, it's already under siege. Once again, Doctor Strange is in the thick of it, in more ways than one. But it's the source of the chaos that's the real driving force for this movie. In the beginning, it just throws a lot of monsters and mystic mayhem into the mix. It's not initially clear what's going on, but it is clear who the target is. Enter America Chavez, a fresh new face for the MCU, albeit one with a mixed reputation in the comics. But thankfully, you don't need to know too much about her history to understand what's going on. All you really need to know is that she's a young woman from an alternate universe, and she has the unique ability to punch holes in the fabric of reality, thus allowing her to travel across the multiverse. She's also very young and inexperienced. She struggles greatly to control her power, so much so that it cost her her parents. But it's this incredible power that others want. Now, as a quick aside, let me just say that America Chavez in this movie is very different from her comic book counterpart, but in a good way. I've mentioned her before in a previous video. She is one of those characters that a vocal minority of fans utterly despise, largely because she came along around the time Marvel did its big diversity push in the early 2010s. While I don't want to delve too deep into the details of that shitstorm, I'll just say this. Chavez was a very poorly written character for a number of years in the comics. And for a time, she was one of the most unlikable characters in all of Marvel. Her attitude, her personality, and how she interacted with others, it was just insufferable. However, the America Chavez we get in Multiverse of Madness is nothing of the sort. Whatever your feelings might be towards her in the comics, I encourage you to set them aside. See this version as a wholly new character. Because, and I say this as one of her vocal critics, she really is one of the best parts of this movie. She really does shine in so many amazing moments. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that she steals the show. Mainly because another character beat her to the punch in that regard. While this movie is very much a Doctor Strange movie, it's Wanda Maximoff who's the real star in my opinion. However, this is not the same Wanda who fought alongside the Avengers against Ultron and Thanos. She's not even the same Wanda who attempted to create her own perfect reality in WandaVision. Now, she's the Scarlet Witch, complete with a comics-accurate costume and a copy of the Darkhold. As a result, she's the main quote-unquote villain of this movie, but I use that term loosely. Because to call Wanda this movie's villain, one on the same level as Thanos, Killmonger, or the Red Skull, it just doesn't fit. Yes, she is the primary cause of all the conflict in this movie. She's the one sending all these horrific monsters to capture America Chavez, with the express goal of stealing her power. But it's why she's doing it that really blurs the line and heightens the drama. Even if you never saw WandaVision, you quickly come to understand her motivations, and they're downright tragic. She is trying to reunite with her children, Billy and Tommy. She lost her kids in the main MCU timeline, but thanks to the Darkhold, she knows they exist in other timelines. And she wants to reunite with them, even if it means slaughtering her way through entire timelines. That doesn't just make the Scarlet Witch determined and tenacious, it makes her downright scary. Compared to previous MCU movies, Wanda's power levels in Multiverse of Madness are downright terrifying at times. She's not just twisting thoughts, stoking fears, or crushing killer robots with her magic. She's sending terrifying, building-sized monsters to attack downtown New York. She's single-handedly destroying the defenses of Kamar-Taj, a secret city populated by hundreds of other magic users. And, in a feat that really puts her over the edge, she murders the entire Illuminati. And this is the part of Multiverse of Madness where the fan service really kicks into high gear. Because it's here where we get our first glimpse of John Krasinski as Reed Richards, Haley Atwell as Captain Britain, and even Patrick Stewart returning as Charles Xavier, complete with his 90s era hoverchair. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was downright giddy when I saw that on screen. I wasn't alone either. I heard vocal cheers in the theater, especially when Patrick Stewart showed up, complete with that iconic 90s X-Men theme in the background. While the cheers weren't quite as loud as they were during Spider-Man No Way Home, the impact was still powerful, and that made how the story played out all the more tragic. Because, much like their counterparts in the comics, the Illuminati in Marvel act as guardians of multiverse-level threats. And, also like the comics, the biggest threat comes in the form of incursions, these cataclysmic events that occur when two universes collide. They've already seen other versions of Doctor Strange cause such incursions, resulting in countless deaths in the process. They believe the MCU version of Strange is on the same path. Since he already came so close to breaking reality in Spider-Man No Way Home, it's hard to blame their logic. But, like the armies of Kamar-Taj, they were not prepared to face an angry Scarlet Witch. What she does and how she goes about it, well, I won't spoil it, but it's pretty damn terrifying. It also helps set the stage for her and Strange's final confrontation, once again putting both characters at a major crossroads. Towards the end of this movie, Wanda is dangerously close to a point of no return. And Strange is also in a position to do exactly what the Illuminati fears he might do. It's intense, it's dramatic, just as we've come to expect from the MCU. Again, I won't spoil all the details. I'll just say it strikes all the emotional chords we've come to expect from the MCU. But what helps Multiverse of Madness really stand out here is how it incorporates so many horror elements with this drama. It's also here where you really feel Sam Raimi's influence on this movie. If you've ever seen an Evil Dead movie, you'll recognize it more than most. This movie really plays fast and loose with reality, fantasy, and your sense of direction. If you get motion sickness or vertigo, you may want to skip a meal, but it's still a hell of a ride. One I really enjoyed at every turn. All that being said, I won't go so far as to say that this is the best MCU movie since Avengers Endgame. Yes, it's a great movie overall, but I wouldn't put it on the same level as Spider-Man No Way Home, if only because the fan service in that movie was a lot heavier. But I will say that Multiverse of Madness is a solid upgrade from the first Doctor Strange movie, as well as an improvement over other recent movies like Eternals. There are also a few moments I suspect will disappoint certain fans, and trust me, you'll know them when you see them. There are also a few points in the movie that feel a bit contrived, like a few key details were left on the cutting room floor. But it's never to a point where the plot gets derailed or the drama gets muted. Overall, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a hell of an experience. It has the aesthetics and themes of a superhero movie, but in its totality, it feels a lot more like a horror movie, one that forces two characters to confront the darkest parts of themselves, as well as plenty other dark forces. The movie also feels a bit more refined than other superhero movies, and that it never feels too familiar. There's less emphasis on finding some powerful Infinity Stone type MacGuffin or just attacking some generic villain. Because Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch were friends and teammates at one point. What they both want and what drives them in this movie, it's understandable and relatable. Having that level of humanity and personal connection, while also daring to add some old school horror to the mix, it helps Multiverse of Madness stand out in all the right ways. While it wasn't the first Marvel movie to explore alternate universes and timelines, it was by far the most ambitious. And the end result, in my opinion, is nothing short of magical. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for joining me in my world. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, take care and stay safe.